All right, all right, all right, all right. How is everyone doing today? Today is November 6th, 2025. I am your host, American Lumberjack, and you are watching Timber Talk on a Thursday. As always, thank you guys so very much for joining me. It is always a pleasure to be able to spend time with you guys and share the truth with you, share the news with you, because you're not getting it anywhere else. They're hitting you with the okie doke. They're hitting you with the serotonin dump, whatever it takes to get you feeling something. I don't care about how you feel. I just want to tell you the truth, and you can do with that what you will. As this new thing that I'm doing, we're going to open in prayer and give praise to the Almighty God for allowing us to be here today and to do this. So join me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, God, we thank you for today. We thank you for this awesome opportunity, Lord, to give you glory and to lift up your name. We thank you for blessing us with the energy and the ability to know you, to be in your perfect will, God. And we pray that as we are sitting here today, God, that you get all the glory, and everyone that is under the sound of this prayer, God, I pray that they are blessed and your goodness and your glory is poured out upon them, Lord, and that they will prosper and not fall short, God. For the expected plan that you have for us is good and not evil, and an expected end. In Jesus' mighty name I pray. Amen. Let's get right into it. Our first segment is called The Giving Trump. And within this particular segment, we're going to mix things up a little bit. So the headlines say that food aid is gone. But the story is that 42 million people are receiving some type of assistance. They rely on food stamps and the American government to help them out. Give me 1 second. Let me do this right here. All right. I just needed to fix that. My apologies. But 42 million people are receiving aid in the United States of America. And with that, it's a strain on the system. And with that, there's a lot of people without. Well, this week, the administration under Trump's leadership quietly funded aid for mothers. And no one's saying anything. It's not making splash or headline news or breaking news anywhere, because it's Trump that's doing it. And therein lies the problem. They're quietly funding stuff for babies and young children and mothers or fathers of, single fathers with small children. And who's benefiting? Them. Who's paying? Not us. Trump is using emergency funds to do this. So amid this federal shutdown, it really and truly, it's all about the Democrats and their shutdown. Amid this shutdown, SNAP benefits, WIC, and any other really government assistance is all but cut off in totality, unless it's an essential thing. And we have these 42 million people that are receiving SNAP benefits, and then there's additional millions of others receiving WIC benefits. And I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but he is actually funding it. So facing court orders, the administration said it will, essentially tap a contingency fund. And in this contingency fund, there's $4.65 billion that are required to this particular SNAP fund for November, covering about roughly $8 per billion in cost. So that's about what they would be getting out per what's divvied out amongst them. So it ultimately, people are freaking out and saying, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And Trump is actually doing something. Whereas the Democrats, what are they doing? What are they doing? So within the WIC, there's about 7 million people total, and they're going to be funded at least for the month of November. He's giving out $450 million from those unused tariff revenues, because tariffs work. Everyone says that tariffs don't work. Well, tariffs are working, because we wouldn't have this emergency fund for him to tap into and use to help people if it were not for tariffs. And from the conservative viewpoint, there's a right to food security, I guess you could say, if the country is giving it. Ultimately, personally, for me, I don't believe there is a right to anything. You have a right to exist, but outside of that, there's not much more to it. And we are afforded these rights by the Constitution of the United States of America. You don't have a right to food. You don't have a right to health care. You have a right to go out and get it yourself. And some people, unfortunately, can't. And those that can't, Trump is helping them. But there's legitimately no media coverage on this at all. And people are still steadily saying that it's his shutdown. It's his shutdown. It's his shutdown. No, it's the Democrats' shutdown. It's because of the Democrats and their dealings as to why this is happening. So we have to give the man his flowers when he does good. It is a shame that we don't, but someone must, and I'm here to do that. I will call him out when he needs to be called out, and I will give him his flowers when he needs to have his flowers. Ultimately, though, it boils down to human decency. We have, as I said a couple of weeks ago, the Democrats saying that they're the party of the people, but they're not helping the people. And this government shutdown has sputtered on for a very long time, which I will throw the counter up here later at how long this has been going on, right down to the second, so you can see and really grasp what's going on. But why fund WIC fully for now is what your leftists and liberals say. It's not going to last. Well, it wasn't going to get funded at all. And those things that you said didn't work are working. The tariffs are funding this temporarily. And thank God, that means that mothers with children and fathers with children that are of a certain age will be able to take care of their babies. And these people are actually getting things that they need that are necessities to life. Whereas the people on SNAP benefits are trying to buy Snickers and snacks and all sorts of other things. At least these people are being taken care of. So some questions for those that are listening. Is it fair that SNAP households face reduced benefits while WIC recipients get full emergency funding? I say yes, because some of those people on SNAP benefits are fully capable of working. And as the word of God says, if a man does not work, he should not eat. If you can work, work. If you can't, then there's provision for you. This is where the people are supposed to step in. And in this instance, the government can itself. Another question is, what message are we sending from food aid when food aid becomes a selective tool, not a universal safety net? I personally don't believe in universal safety nets, but these are questions that are being posed to thwart Trump's victory in this particular case. Food is basic. Is it a human right? No. But food is nonpartisan. The moment you start making food a political prop, right versus left, that's when it becomes a weapon, and you won't like the end results when people start standing up and demanding their food. What we've seen this week is a line drawn between two governments, Democrats and the Republicans, and people are insisting that they are supported if they're needed. Personally, I tell people always get off of the government assistance as quickly as you can, because the government's never here to actually help you. But in this particular case, with Trump funding WIC out of the executive branch's pocket, the government is actually helping. But we see what Congress is doing. Absolutely nothing. Our next segment here is called Well. Everyone knows when they hear that what that means. Well, this particular segment is no different. So when dollars flow from Washington, you assume they go where they're supposed to, right? You think, hey, we're going to give money to veterans. That money is going to veterans. Well, that's how it's supposed to work. That's not how it always works. But what happens when those dollars are diverted quietly, always on the hush hush when the Democrats are making moves, when those that money is moved quietly and not legally, and not to people that are eligible to receive it. What happens when the feds finally say enough? So today we're going to uncover what actually happened. So the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services are cracking down on states saying that they are using federal money for Medicaid for the people of the states when truly they're not. So $1 billion, it's roughly $1.6 billion, has been given to illegals or migrants, as they say, undocumented, as they say, $1.3 to $1.6 billion in an audit has been given to them. Well, I thought that they weren't giving illegals or undocumented healthcare services. Money wasn't going for that. They weren't getting Medicaid. Well, there was a loophole. There was a loophole. A preliminary audit found that multiple states, including California, Washington, Illinois, and Oregon, and far more others, predominantly all blue states, not a single red states on that list, but I digress, are improperly spending federal Medicaid dollars to cover illegal immigrants. And like I said, it's roughly between 1.3 and 1.5 billion over recent years. So meanwhile, CMS has issued a rollout of increased oversight. States must submit detailed reviews on their spending, how they're spending it, where they're spending it, because they're cracking down. And thank God for RFK. You can say what you say about the man, but he is actually benefiting the American people. He's taking junk food off of SNAP or food stamps. He's taking the dyes out of foods that cause cancers. We know they cause cancers. We know they cause other illnesses. He's having additives removed from our food, so much so that, like I said on another segment, they have procured a deal with us being able to send food to the UK for the first time in over 80 years. 158 countries around the world would not take food from the United States. Why? Because it's poisoned. RFK is doing something about that. And he's also now doing something about the states shim-shamming and skimming money off the top to pay for illegals. The agency ends up warning Medicaid is not and cannot be a backdoor pathway to subsidize open borders. Because if you're offering these people money, telling them, hey, you can get this free health care, come on over here, when the very people in America is not getting free health care, I am no way, shape, or form advocating for free health care. But when we can't get it and you're giving it to these people and giving them subsidies for open borders, they're going to come. This is like Kamala Harris sitting up there. The border's not open. Do not come. Do not come. When your president weeks before said that they were open. You have conflicting ideals. So they put this puppet up there to do damage control and tell people not to come here. But the border czar, a.k.a. Kamala Harris, in her triangle area south of the border, didn't do her job because the people came in droves and they just let them in. They let them in. So states found misusing the funds will be required to repay it. Good. Illinois, good. California is already in debt. Everybody likes to proclaim how great California is. Oh, they're the fourth world's largest economy within. They receive more government funding and help than any other red states. Any of them. They like to tout out how blue states help red states. No, not like you think they do. We actually pay more into the federal government to help the blue states and the blue cities than they help the red states. But I digress. That's not what the topic is about. From a conservative standpoint, federal tax dollars are meant to protect American citizens, not cover services for individuals who are here illegally. Taxation without representation is theft. When states start ignoring obligations and the federal government the federal government then has a duty to say, hey, you're ignoring us. We need to fix it. And if you don't repay us, well, you get no more government funding. Could you imagine what would happen to Illinois? Could you imagine what would happen to New York, California, Oregon, if they stopped receiving all of the government help that they get, these states would legitimately crash and burn worse than they already are, far worse than what they already are. But here's the cutting edge to this particular topic. If states issues claims for Medicaid funds that they don't know where they're going, then they should be ineligible to receive them. It's not about helping people per se. It's about doing what's right. Constitutionally speaking, Medicaid is not a state's issue. It's not in the Constitution. And if the federal government is funding this, you are to abide by the federal government's rules and regulations. They've been very lax over the years, and now you finally have a president willing to put these people back on the right track. He's tightening the reins on the rope to slow the horse down because the horse was out of control. It was allowed to run free while sucking the taxpayers dry. How many of you knew where your tax money was going before Trump got in office in 2025, before Doge became a thing? Now, you can say what you want to say about Doge, hate it or love it. Particularly, I don't care for the person that implemented it, but it is finding truth in the matter. When federal agencies say they'll claw back more than $1 billion, what message is that sending to the states? Ultimately, they really just need to wake up. Stop doing what you're doing. Stop stealing from the American people. The American people are tired. We're being beat up every single day, whether it's at the gas pump, the grocery stores, or in taxes. We're being beat up every single day. And now with this government shutdown, the people that work for the government are being beat up, laid off, overturned. But you, blue states and blue cities, you're finding money for Medicaid for illegals. That's not the way we do it. It's never been the way we do it. You take care of home first and worry about everybody else later with what you have left over. Stop helping people who don't help us. Point blank, period. Moving right along, we're jumping into this. The EBT Ring. Now, I don't know if you guys have heard, but, taxpayer money has been stolen. There's some fraud afoot. So in San Antonio, the Secret Service, yes, the Secret Service, and local police inspected 712 businesses over 4,300 point of sales terminals and found 17 illegal skimming devices. That is crazy. Most people are like, oh, they only looked at 4,300 and only found 17. If they looked at 10,000 and found one, that's a problem. Quick story, not on topic, but on topic. There was a guy in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and he put a skimming system. So every time someone swiped their card, 1 penny came out of their bank account. And that was all over the entirety of the base. So wherever there was a terminal, a point of sales, and they swiped their card, 1 penny came out. The only reason he got caught is because an E4 can't afford a $250,000 car. Yes, they scanned 4,300 POS systems and terminals and found 17 illegal skimmers, which if you don't know what skimmers are, when you swipe your credit card, it pulls the information off of your credit card. The cell goes through on your end, but now your bank's compromised and they're taking money. And if you use a credit card, boy, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. I've had my identity stolen several times due to skimming. So they have estimated the prevention loss after finding these 17 skimmers to be close to $18 million. And this is coming out of EBT. So every time you pay your taxes and that tax money, a portion of that tax money goes to the SNAP food benefits, EBT benefits, these people were swiping their cards and money was being taken out of their cards and going into a thief's pocket. So the taxpayer money was being stolen. So in New York, a larger outreach operation was targeted into the EBT skimming, and other fraud operations were visited. They found 943 businesses and inspected 4,086 terminals. And guess what? They seized 65 skimming devices, which was a total of about $68 million in losses they stopped. God knows how much was made before that, but they did it by proximity of the area, of how many people and the traffic in these particular areas, how they would, use their cards in these particular stores and whatnot. And then they get their estimate. And they can do that to the letter almost, because they know how much these people are getting each year or each month, and how many times they're swiping their cards at particular locations, because they can track all that information. But ultimately, what is going on? What is wrong with our country? And how long has this been going on? That, let's say these people actually do need EBT, that they're incapable of working, some grandma or disabled individual, they're unable to work, and you're stealing from them. You're stealing from them. You're stealing from us as well. So taxpayers and beneficiaries get squeezed over and over and over by crooks and criminals. If criminals can rip off food stamps, you better believe they're exploiting the weakest links in our system. I think this shutdown has been both a curse and a blessing. It has allowed us to see things that we were unable to see before. We're able to see and uncover exploits and so many other things that are going on in our country. How people are scamming the system. We're getting to see the true colors of the Democrat Party. They are not the party of the people. We're getting to see Donald J. Trump actually excel in helping people. Things that they said he doesn't do. When the machines that process your benefit cards are compromised, it's not a glitch. It's engineered. And if it's engineered, something needs to be done about it. Thank God for the Secret Service. And for those that are very confused and wondering why it wasn't the FBI that did this, the Secret Service actually looks into operations on the side. Things that the FBI can't handle or they're too busy to handle, the Secret Service can slide in there and give a looky-loo. And what a thing they uncovered. So if benefit fraud rings are draining millions from welfare systems, shouldn't the states and the federal agencies be held accountable for failing to prevent it? Mostly the states. Mostly the states. Because it's the states that receive the benefits from the federal government and then give it out to the people. They should make sure that their systems are set up properly. And can you imagine on the backside, the people that are actually doing the skimming, the stealing, the fraud? These people had to do a lot of calculations to find out where most of these EBT recipients are spending most of their money so they can set these skimmers up. They can't just blanket the whole area because it'd make it easier to be caught. But almost $20 million and almost $70 million was saved from them being vigilant. So thank God for the Secret Service. Bravo. Moving right along, we're jumping right into it. There has been, now this might seem not America related, but it is, I promise. There's been a cartel hit over the past week in Mexico. So a mayor stood up to the cartels and then ended up dead. Carlos Munoz, the mayor of Uruapan, I am going to butcher this, Michoacan, was gunned down during a public festival after calling the cartel out. He called them out and said that they're out of control. And his city was being overrun, and he was asking for help. And they came in and they killed the man. Over Halloween, they killed him. Too many watching from the outside. It feels like another local tragedy if you really want to, because that sounds like something that would happen in America. It really does, especially the way things have been going on here. So to other people, especially those paying attention to the patterns, it looks like something darker. A government is now not doing their job, and a system is being shut down and silenced because they're talking about something that's taboo to talk about. We don't talk about the cartels. We don't. So why this really, really does matter and how we're involved is the FBI was actually tasked with moving in, going across the border, and communicating with some of these local and, I guess you could say, state representatives in Mexico to form plans on how to stop the cartel. And Munoz had openly spoken out against the cartel and their actions, and how they were dominating the region, and where criminal groups and were out here extorting farmers and local businesses. And this guy had repeatedly asked the Mexican president for help. By the way, she's an imposter Jew running a Mexican country. But I digress. She left him on red, so to speak. She didn't respond. She didn't return his calls or any of this stuff. So he started to push for stronger cooperation with the United States. Mr. Munoz was heavily in support of Trump sending troops to shut down the cartel, while the imposter Jew Mexican president said, no, Mr. Trump, we don't need your help. We got it under control. Well, that kind of, Miss Claudia Scheinenbaum, that sounds like you're in on the take with the cartel, that you're not a president of Mexico. They are. They are, not you. This man reached out to you for help, saying that his region was being overrun with the cartel. You did nothing. He was one of the ones that was going to be a part of the system of the FBI trying to figure out goals and plans on how to shut this stuff down. Because the cartels are not just affecting Mexico, they're affecting here. But when asked if you need help by Trump, Claudia said, no, Mr. Trump, we don't want your military present here. Ma'am, why would you not want someone to help? Why would you not want someone to give you a leg up? Because clearly over the years, the cartels have run Mexico ragged. And when they don't want a leader in power, they kill them. And if you won't root out the rot, should America step in? No, because that would be an international crisis. But when it starts affecting us, then we can. And I think we should. I'm not really pro America policing the world, but that's our border. Northern border, Canada, southern border, Mexico. And when things from other countries that are right next door start affecting America, you bet your bottom dollar, I think we should do something about it. This is why all of those strikes in the Caribbean, I am here for it. I want you to know I'm here for it. I have had family members die to drugs. I have had friends die to drugs. I have friends, family members die to drugs. So I am here for, the fireworks, the water show, the waterworks. I'm here for it. And every time they send one of those little boats or submersibles over here, I get a big grin on my face knowing that they got blown up. They got exploded. And rightfully so, because you're bringing filth into our countries and hurting our country. So if Mexico keeps this up, I think we should start exploding things on the border. If it looks like the cartel, sounds like the cartel, smokes like the cartel, it should be lit up like the cartel. You ever see at night when they're shooting those really large rounds and it looks like fireflies zipping through the air? I would love to see that at our border. Maybe we should put the Golden Dome on the Mexican border, and if they come across, light them up like a Christmas tree. Just food for thought. So ultimately, Carlos Munoz's murder is a symbol of a nation that's being strangled by crime and drugs. This woman is weak, and we saw that when Trump first said he was going to implement heavy tariffs, and she was like, "Oh no, you're not, Mr. Trump." And then the next few days, she was down there signing paperwork to honor the Canada-Mexico-U.S. agreement that was done under Trump's first term that they violated under Biden's. And now they're both in line now because Trump's back. What's that song that Usher character sings? Daddy's home. Yeah. Trump is home, and he's making good on his promises. I hope that we can do something to help those in Mexico out. Because if we can help Mexico out, then the illegals from Mexico and the illegals that come through the southern border of Mexico, because not all illegals are coming from southern American countries. Majority of them come from Europe, Africa, and China. But if we can help them out and help them ship up, they'll stop coming here. And then they can tighten up their southern border and stop people from coming there. And guess what? No more illegal immigration. We need this. It is a necessity. And if we don't have it, then we are in trouble. We are in trouble in every way, shape, and form. But thank God for Trump, and God rest Mr. Munoz's family. But bless them. God rest his soul and bless his family, because that's sad to lose your family member due to a assassination attempt. It's sad. And it wasn't an attempt. We were successful. In our next story, Pentagon drone strike. So for a very, very long time, we have been getting our drones from other nations and waiting on them to make them and ship them in. And if anybody knows anything about logistics, that's where the big bucks are. The price and the cost shoot way up when we have to ship things in. Well, the war zones of tomorrow are just where bombs are being dropped. And you need drones to be able to figure things out and drones to drop those bombs. Now the United States is making their own drones. Because of the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE for short, they found that the United States Department of Defense is being handed the reins due to their auditing, because they found out that we were wasting a lot of money and we could do it cheaper. I know that's unheard of, that America can do something cheaper than another nation. That's why we export our work out to import it back in, but America can do it cheaper. So they're handing the reins and control of our drone manufacturing over to the Department of Defense, or Department of War, if you will. And America's finally going to be able to make these drones twice as fast as what they were being made in other countries. And they're cutting out the logistics problems of having to ship them back. So just to give you a brief overview so you can understand fully what I mean and why it's so costly to make them elsewhere, is parts have to come from multiple different countries. That cost us. Then those parts go to a country that's going to manufacture them. Then that cost us. Then they manufacture them, and then they have to ship them to us, which cost us, the United States. So it's a beautiful thing to see this getting turned around and fixed and put in the right direction, because when adversaries build in bulk, America must do the same thing. And we were falling way behind in our drone preparations because we were relying on other nations to do this. And according to the reporting, the Pentagon's DOGE unit is now centralizing drone acquisition across all branches, which essentially means that they're going to use all the branches to make these things happen for the Army, for the Navy, for the Marines, for the Coast Guard, which the Coast Guard, by the way, has been doing a beautiful job for many years and not getting their flowers, because it's because of the Coast Guard that a lot of drugs are stopped. And I will get some pictures for you guys on another segment to show you how many drug busts the Coast Guard actually make. So they protect the homeland better than most of the other branches, but that's not shorting the other branches for what they do, because we need them. But the key changes here with doing what they're doing by handing the power over to the Department of Defense is going to be streamlining the procurement, so funding, contracts, and requirements go through DOGE instead of a dozen fragmented offices. They're just bringing it down to one central location and within the military itself, and not everything else. They're not going to have all the irons in the fires all around the world. It's going to be right here. And the goal is to acquire at least 30,000 low-cost drones in the near term, reflecting lessons from Ukraine. So we know that Ukraine is building cheap unmanned systems, very cheap unmanned systems. And that's probably why they are hanging on by the thread they are against Russia's onslaught. So we need to push ultimately for domestic manufacturing of a lot of things, not just some things, but a lot of things. Like Trump said in his 60-minute interview, he says some things we just don't need to make, like undergarments. We don't need to make those because that's not beneficial or profitable for us. But there are other things that we in America do need to make. And that is the most American first move we can do. So if we want China to make the panties and the bras and the cute spandex pants from Shein, let them. It's okay. But if we're going to have real things made here, or real things made, we need to make them here ourselves. We don't need to allow for anyone else to do that. Otherwise, things could get compromised. If China is helping manufacture our drones, what if they put in defective parts or parts that track? Do you recall when they blocked Huawei from being able to be sold in the United States because they found chips in those phones that were listening to phone calls and pulling telemetry and data from the phone and sending it back to satellites for China? And they were collecting all of the American information. So HTC and Huawei are no longer sold in America. So most people think that, those phone companies went bankrupt. And they were really, really good phones for really, really low prices. They rivaled the Samsungs. They rivaled the iPhones. But matter of fact, Huawei was the number one phone company in the world for a while until, they got kicked out of America for selling information. So we don't want other places making stuff for us. If America doesn't act aggressively in the drone buildup now, we will be reactive instead of dominant when conflicts occur. We always want to be first when conflicts occur, not building up. Hey, can you help? Hurry up, please. We need your help. We need to do it now. So when it's time to get rowdy, we can get rowdy immediately and overwhelm the adversary. So when we assemble tens of thousands of drones instead of hundreds by comparison, the battlefield is now leveled. The playing field gets even real quick, fast, in a hurry, and we don't have to worry about anyone else telling us what we can and can't do. America's next battlefield may be less about boots and more about circuits. So pushing forward in the drone manufacturing and chips manufacturing actually benefit America. So bravo to Doge for doing what needs to be done. It's a beautiful thing. Our next story, still in the line with military, is military friend request. This is the military friend request. So your Secretary of the Department of War has been trying to bridge a gap with China. And overall, Mr. Hegseth has pushed for a union of communication of sorts to help lessen tensions between two militaries. So the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, revealed that the China's Minister of National Defense, Dong Jun, agreed to allow for communications. It's not much more to it than that, but the benefits are going to be great. It will help to de-escalate tons of situations. So earlier this year, we talked about the Indo-Pacific area and how China reclaimed the South China Sea as theirs. They took it over and made it theirs, which America does a lot of work with the Philippines, navally speaking. Our Navy helps out them and we guard them because, the Philippines are very close to the South China Sea, and there's a little island out there that we would do exercises with them, military exercises with them. And China said, no, you're too close to us. We're going to claim sovereignty over this area, and we don't want you doing this anymore. And if you do it, we're going to see it as aggression, and we're going to fire back. Well, because of these actions, they've had to move to the other side of the island which is closer to civilization, doing some of these military training drills with the Philippines. So in order to make less problems, we have a union of minds. We have the defense secretary and we have the Minister of National Defense for China talking. Talking is always a good thing. It being able to de-escalate problems is always a good thing. So this move ended up following from a summit between Donald Trump and Xi Jinping that, according to the U.S. officials, set the tone for peace and success in the bilateral ties. Now, we did see that Xi Jinping was like, hey, I really can see that Donald Trump is pro-peace. He doesn't want war. He wants to be able to work things out without fighting. And if you can't see that, you're blind. The man has quelched wars all over the world without so much as leaving his desk. Simple phone calls, war stop. But he doesn't get the Nobel Peace Prize. In his first term, he was touted out by multiple countries as having one of the best foreign policies in the world and being able to shut a lot of crap down, which he did then as well. Not as much as he's done now, but he shut a lot of crap down. And all by threatening tariffs and threatening aid, not war. Now, there's been a few countries like Nigeria where he says that if you don't stop killing Christians, well, it's going to get hairy for you guys. We'll stop aid at first. And if you continue down this path, then we might have to come in guns a-blazing. And that's a quote from his Truth Social post. That is okay. But for the most part, everything he has done has been through a peaceful, non-violent means. And if you can do it that way, that saves American lives, because we're not sending our sons and daughters overseas for a global war on terror when we all know it was about finishing your daddy's war and getting the oil, because America doesn't really ever go to war but for resources. Trump is getting resources without fighting, and the Democrats and the rhinos and the warmongers hate it. They despise it. We want war because we can control population and slow things down. War is not the way. And Pete Hegseth has made a big splash with Dong Zhong, or Dong Jun, however you pronounce it. I'm not Chinese. I apologize if you are and I'm butchering the name. But China is now on board for peace. And what better way to do it than to have the two ministers of defense for both countries having a good talk, having an open channel of communication. It's beautiful. So when China claims they want peaceful coexistence, we need to be able to trust them. Can we trust them? Probably not. But if you got the two people that control defense for the nations talking, you might be able to make something happen, at least a wee bit. At least a wee bit. So I would say this is a good thing and a good move, but we need to make sure we keep a watchful eye, because China is very sneaky. They like to ninja around and do ninja-like things, even though I think ninjas are Japanese, but I digress. They like to do it. They like to steal secrets and slip in back alleys and find information and pay off stupid Americans in the military that are willing to sell their own country out. So we have to be careful. Does reopening military communications with China enhance the U.S. deterrence or weaken it? That's a question I pose to you. And it's a real question that should be answered. Personally, I think it has potential to strengthen it. Do I see it working long term? No. But that's because China is a very crafty nation. And if China uses this channel to monitor our capabilities or influence our responses, is that diplomacy or vulnerability? That's something that we need to know about. Hence the signal in the top 8 friends. We have to close all vulnerable areas and use proper channels. Sorry, Pete Hegseth. I had to give you that one on the chin, my boy, because you messed up. But ultimately, this is a good thing and it's going to be a good thing as long as we can keep a tight squeeze on it. If not, and we get lax and loose, then things start falling apart and falling out, and that's going to cause more of a problem. Our next story. Now, I did not get the video for this story, and I might be able to just pull this off and pull the video up, because I do want to play a snippet of this particular story, because it is indeed a very beautiful story here. So give me a second to see if I can't grab this from my notes here and put this up for you guys, because this guy, this particular gentleman, was a Satanist, a high-ranking Satanist in the occult, and he was doing all of the things, and he reveals some things about the holidays that we celebrate. And I know some of you are like, "Oh, we don't want to hear about that. We want to live our life and do our thing without being told we can't." Well, you can't. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Actually, no, I don't hate it. I enjoy it. But I have to tell the truth, because that's what this show is about. It's about the truth. Where is that story at? Where is that story at? Give me 1 second. And there it is. Ha 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 ha. Let me grab this here. And give me 1 second. And beautiful. Let's close that. Paste that. Maybe not. It's not as beautiful as I thought. There we go. I got it. Just bear with me. All right. Maybe not. Things want to be difficult. I might not be able to play the video. But I don't want to play the whole thing. I just want to give you a snippet of said video. There we go.
Rion Swiggy.
Right, got it. And we're going to throw this up on the screen. And let me hop back over here. And we're going to do this one. Window capture. Add source. Add source. Why are there so many things running in the background? Oh my goodness. There we go. Done. And we're going to slide this right on over here. And we're going to make sure the sound is on for you guys.
You are a former leader in the Church of Satan, and you are now sounding the alarm about the demonic realities of Halloween. Can you peel back the curtain for us?
Absolutely. Thank you first and foremost for having me on the show. It's really an honor.
Just checking to see if you guys can actually hear this. So I'm checking the chat for the information. Just give me a second. Okay, you can hear. Fantastic.
Honor to be here. I think a good place to start is that so many people have no idea, the significance of Halloween and what it means to celebrate Halloween. And I think it's also largely due to it has become part of popular culture without many people really thinking about what it represents. And I think what's even more concerning is that there's even Christians who are celebrating Halloween. Now, there's so many things to say here, but I think an important thing to say to start with is that Anton LaVey, who was the original founder of the Church of Satan in the States in the late 60s, he had a very well-known quote where he said, "It makes him so happy to see that Christians are allowing their children to celebrate the devil one night of the year."
So I'm going to stop it right there. It's so important because we as adults have to be very, very vigilant in truth. And we often, you're going to feel like I'm coming at you, and I might be, we often lie to our children and then tell them that they shouldn't lie. And the problem with that particular issue is that's do as I say, not as I do. And as a parent, you can't expect your kids to be honest with you if you're not being honest with them. So this gentleman, Ryan, it warns there is an atmosphere, this is a quote, of the celebration of death and the revels of death. And he alleges that during Halloween, especially, vulnerable people, homeless, young children, are at higher risk of being targeted for ritual sacrifice. If you don't believe this, you're living under a rock. Next to the Super Bowl, yes, the Super Bowl, next to the Super Bowl, children are taken more on Halloween than any other day in the United States. So the Super Bowl would be first, which is crazy. But then again, parents aren't paying attention. They're watching the game. Their kids are doing whatever, and they're snatched up. But on Halloween, you can bet your bottom dollar that people are being taken and sacrificed, especially homeless. And there are sick, depraved people. Let's put this in some perspective for you. Since some of you I know won't believe me, think that I'm speaking out the side of my neck. I'm not. But overall, we know that there are some sick, twisted individuals out there. You got the Jeffrey Dahmers of the world. He was eating people. He was killing people. So what makes you think that people that we think are sane wouldn't do this? You have lawyers, judges, doctors, people that are in high-ranking positions in neighborhoods and in towns and cities doing evil and wicked things. They show it to us right in plain sight what they do. Think of it this way. I'm sure you've all heard adrenochrome and a lot of the celebrities that when, Trump started finding children and shutting down things and putting up task force for children to recover children in his first term, a lot of people started looking real old, and they weren't getting their fix. But that might be too conspiratorial for you, which we have another conspiracy after this. But this we know to be true. You guys all cry and think about Epstein Island. Imagine what they were doing to those children on those islands. Not just Big St. James Island, but Little St. James Island. Or vice versa. Little St. James Island versus Big St. James. If you look at the map right now, one of those islands, you can't find anything on it. Just a couple of roads, but you don't see any houses, and most of it's blocked out by Google Earth. What do you think they're doing over there? Do you think they're just having a good old day time? You know the kids were being raped, assaulted, beaten, trafficked to these areas. What other things do you think they were doing to them? Just assaulting them and letting them go? No. And the ones that were fortunate enough to make it out, well, they were fortunate enough to make it out. It even goes into the porn industry. Every time you watch porn, you subject yourself to demonic influence, but you also support sex slave trafficking. Don't believe me? Most of these kids that have been trafficked get pushed into porn after because their minds are too screwed up. So some of these kids are snatched up on Halloween. You have to be careful when it comes to spiritual things. It might be fun and games by dressing up and having a good old gay time. Old school reference to gay, meaning happy, not LGBT. But you might have a good old gay time by letting your kids run around and do all this stuff. But look at how much you're subjecting your children to. They poison food or candy. Literally, people were finding razor blades in their kids' candy. They inject poison into their kids' candy and all this other stuff. And you're letting your kid, it doesn't happen enough for me, da-da-da-da-da. And you're literally subjecting your children to a potentiality of being harmed. And spiritual darkness. So you have a person that was in the Church of Satan, a high-ranking official in the Church of Satan, revealing the evils that go on. So the things that you can't see are the spiritual things that are going on that haunt and torment your children for decades. They're called generational curses. You allow yourself to be subjected to this behavior. So thank God for this guy coming out and revealing that these things happen. if the line between harmless costume party and the occult rituals are blurred, you allow these people to do these things. In the place that I currently live in, they found that some people were doing some things in the woods on certain holidays where they were doing blood sacrifices in my area. And these were doctors, lawyers, and judges. Because when the system protects those in the system, working for the system, they get away with a lot of these things. So ultimately, you need to pay attention. Don't take it as a joke. And if you are a true God-fearing, believing Christian, ask God about it. Ask God. Don't take my word for it. Take the word of God for it. God, should I be letting my children do this? He will answer. In the Bible, he says, to be ye separated, to come out of the world, to touch not the unclean things. That means don't participate in the worldly actions. That you are in the world, but not of the world. And I know this is hard for some people to hear, but it is what it is. You're either going to be all in or all out. Because the Bible says that being lukewarm will get you spewed out of his mouth. And then you're definitely going to hear, depart from me, you worker of iniquity. I never knew you. That's hard for some people to swallow, but that's okay. It's the truth, whether you want to believe it or not. But I would rather believe it and abide by God's word and find out that I did right than let my kids have a good time once a year and the potentiality of hearing, depart from me, you worker of iniquity, or God forbid, while I'm on this side, which is not worse than hearing God say that, have something happen to my kids. It's your decision. When traditions visibly glorify darkness, monsters, skeletons, demons, what's the effect on your faith, fear, and values? Our next segment and our last segment for today, as always, thank you for joining the show. This is a little bit more conspiratorial, but I have receipts to back it up from the very systems and people that engaged in the actions, because a conspiracy is only a conspiracy until you see the truth. Well, here's the truth. We're talking about weather wars, government shutdown, storm. So, are you guys ready to have a little bit of fun? Just a wee bit. So the government shutdown has been going on for 36 days, 20 hours, 57 minutes, and 19 seconds. And that means there's no FEMA aid, and all other aids are broken and shut down, frozen. And right as the system collapses on October 1st, a bomb cyclone slams the East Coast. Hurricane. Or were you guys not paying attention what happened to Jamaica? Is it out of sight, out of mind what happened to the Caribbean? So again, October 1st starts the shutdown. And by November 1st, a rare bombogenesis forms off the coast of the Carolinas. And NOAA, which is a government agency, admits that this storm, this strong, almost never ever happened storm, just pops up out of nowhere. They admitted it. And the federal response is crippled because the government shut down. And this is the perfect moment to study how a nation reacts when it's left defenseless. And we know for a fact that the Caribbean and all of these island nations out there are absolutely defenseless against hurricanes almost year round when it happens. And we're usually the ones that help them because we have a lot of close relationships with them. Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States, and we have a really tight relationship with Jamaica. And overall, we're shut down over here. We can't help you. You're left defenseless. Millions are stranded. Highways are flooded. Power grids are failing. The timing isn't a coincidence. It's more like choreography. So Operation Popeye, maybe you guys should look it up, but I'm going to give you some information on it. Operation Popeye proved that weather could be weaponized. From 1967 to 1972, the United States ran 2,600 cloud seeding missions over Vietnam. And what did they do? Well, it extended monsoon season 30 to 45 days. Proven. Not just extending it, it made them worse. Yeah, they have video footage of this. That the seasons were extended and the monsoons were worse. It worked so well that the UN, United Nations, for those that don't know, banned weather warfare in 1977. That was also around the same time that they banned biological warfare. Well, I thought weather couldn't be used as a weapon. That cloud seeding was just a myth told by people that wore tinfoil hats. Well, 1997, weather warfare was banned by the UN. Civil research continued, though. Yeah. Civil research continued. So Ben Livingston, you should look him up. He was a Navy physicist who led most of those flights. He ended up, becoming a whistleblower. And Mr. Livingston warned the same systems evolved into satellite-guided AI-controlled tools. He did that in 2024. That wasn't years and years and years ago. He did that in 2024. This man came out and said, hey, these things still exist. We didn't stop them. We're still doing it. And the patents never vanished either. You can go look these up right now. And you might find some dusty trails that lead to nowhere because they have been since classified. Has anybody ever heard of HAARP? HAARP, not the life insurance or agency that gives old people funding, but HAARP, HAARP. HAARP in Alaska officially was officially used for ionospheric research, which, if you don't know what that HAARP machine does, it shoots beams with 3.6 megawatts into the sky, superheating the atmosphere. Yeah, those public patents described altering jet streams and pressure zones, which means they can alter and steer certain storm fronts. They can control where they go and make them worse if necessary. Everyone knows what a hurricane needs to survive, right? Really, really, really warm atmosphere and water and a clear shot to wherever it needs to go. Because when hurricanes hit cold, they shy away from it. They go away from it. When hurricanes hit land, they shy away from it. They go away from it or get weaker in both instances. Well, transmissions logs spiked days before this hurricane formed. And I don't mean kind of sort of spiked. You can go look it up. It spiked heavily. Right when FEMA is offline, no oversight, no accountability, no response. These people are suffering now. Meanwhile, flooded countries lose value. Insurance companies pull out. The federal buyout programs move in. Or do we not recall what happened in Maui? Those people, 3,500 families, moved out, property purchased by the state, which is unconstitutional. You should really look into what eminent domain is. Look into court cases around it. The government can't own property. Only people can. Well, the same pattern after Helene, Milton, and countless regional floods took place as well. North Carolina, obliterated. Why? Apparently there's some minerals out there in those mountains. And then you have, where I've shown before, Roy Cooper, the ex, governor of North Carolina. Maybe you guys should, take the money and move out of the area. It's a bad area. It's not a good area. Are you trying to convince people to move out of areas where generations upon generations upon generations upon generations of lineages have been? Why? Oh, because there's mines with Important minerals there. They've already stated it. They've already shown plans to move in and do those things. You just got to get the people out of the way. Because once the people are gone, it's fair game, right? So reports have confirmed active cloud seeding in 8 western states, partially funded by FEMA. And if they can make snow in Nevada, which it did, and that's unheard of, it doesn't ever really happen, why not floods in Virginia? Oh, Texas flooded really, really bad. Not just in the area that's known for flooding, but most other areas. Oh, Oklahoma flooded really bad. Virginia flooded really, really, really bad. Very strange. This isn't science fiction. It's documented. Every storm is data. Every crisis is a test. They see a storm coming, whether they're interacting with that storm or not through cloud seeding or the HARP machine, whether they're doing it or not, they're collecting data. Helene, they were dropping huge chunks of frozen ice in it. And they said it was dry ice. They said it was to slow the cyclone down. Well, if you look at the reports from the documents and the data, they were only dropping it on one side. Why not all around? Well, if you drop it on one side, remember how I said earlier, hurricanes don't like cold? They shy away from it. You can steer a storm. Might sound crazy. Might sound weird. But check the data. It's all there. So what's stopping them now from doing weather experiments? The storm isn't the crime. The silence is. The fact that they're doing these things and playing dumb. Stay dry, stay awake, and keep your eyes open because the data's out there. The screenshots are out there. And screenshots last longer than official reports because they can change what's online. And I always implore people to PDF everything. If you're on a website, hit that share button, print, save as PDF, take it off your phone, put it on a flash drive, store it away for a rainy day. And then when something comes up and it reminds you of that, you pull that flash drive out, plug it into your computer. Oh my gosh, I remember this. Because when you save it off of the digital world and put it in a cold storage, they can't change it. I have had an instance where some of you watching right now can remember I was debating at one point in time, and the website 18 hours before said one thing, and the same website that I never closed the tab on 18 hours later said something completely different. Very weird. Very, very weird. So PDF everything, screenshot all the things, save it when it comes to government oopsies, because there'll come a time where you'll need that information and not have it. And then when you go to look it up, it will say something completely different, giving them, what do you call that? Plausible deniability. Oh, we never said that. That was never there. Yes, it is. I got the PDF right here, sir. I'm going to go and get these PDFs stamped so they can be legally binding documents. As always, guys, thank you for joining me. Our Bible verse for today is from Isaiah 41:10. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen you, and yea, I will help you. Yea, I will uphold you in the right hand of my righteousness. As always, I appreciate you guys so much. And make sure you're not one of the ones who can't see the forest for the trees. Thank you for joining me.